in a quiet corner of Willow Creek, there stood a little antique shop that smelled of wood, memories, and old dreams. The shop belonged to Mrs. Eleanor Green, a kind old woman with silver hair, soft eyes, and a smile that always felt like home. For 40 years, she repaired clocks, wall clocks, pocket watches, alarm clocks, even broken wristwatches that people thought were beyond saving. But there was one clock she never sold, an old brass one that sat behind her counter, still ticking despite its cracks. People often asked, "Why don't you fix it or throw it away?" Eleanor would smile and say, "Oh, that clock reminds me that even broken things can keep time if they still have heart." No one really understood what she meant, but that clock had a story, one that began many years ago. When Eleanor was young, she dreamed of becoming a teacher. She wanted to inspire children, teach them that every second of life mattered. But when her father fell sick, she gave up her studies and started working in his clock shop to support the family. Days turned into years. Her dreams faded quietly, just like the sound of an old clock slowing down. One evening, after her father's death, Eleanor found a letter hidden inside the very same brass clock she'd been repairing. It was her father's handwriting. Trembling, she opened it. "My dearest Ellie, if you ever find this, I want you to know time doesn't just move forward. It waits for those who have purpose. Don't give up on yours. You'll find your way again. Love, Dad." She held the letter against her chest and cried for hours. And that night, she made herself a promise. Even if she couldn't teach in a classroom, she would still teach through kindness. From that day on, her little shop became a classroom in its own way. Children from the neighborhood came after school to watch her work. She'd tell them stories about time, how patience heals, how second chances come quietly, and how every tick means you still have a chance to begin again. "Listen to the ticking," she'd say. "It's not just sound, it's life reminding you that you're still here." Years passed. The children grew up, became teachers, nurses, artists, even engineers. And every year, on her birthday, one of them would visit her shop to thank her for fixing more than just clocks. One cold winter evening, Eleanor's health began to fade. She closed her shop early and sat by the window, looking at the brass clock still ticking beside her. She whispered softly, "Thank you for never stopping, even when I almost did." That night, the clock finally stopped. But the next morning, when a young boy, one of her students, entered the shop, something magical happened. The clock began ticking again. No one ever figured out how. Maybe it was just a loose gear, or maybe love has a way of keeping time alive. The boy reopened her shop years later and placed a small sign beside the clock. It read, "She taught us that even when time runs out, kindness keeps ticking." Sometimes life takes your dreams away. But if you keep giving, if you keep loving, your purpose finds you again. Because time never forgets those who use it to bring light to others. Even when you feel broken, your heart can still make a difference. The time you spend helping others never runs out. It echoes forever.